Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another bite-sized series within our masterclass for community events. Today, we're looking at creating an event site plan. For those of you that have not yet met me, I'm Linda Tillman. I'm the Managing Director of Tilma Group and the founder of Revents Academy. And you can find out everything you would like to know about us and what we do at tilmagroup.com.au or reventsacademy.com. I am really excited to be sharing this with you today and hope that it's a really practical resource for you to create your site plan. So what are we creating? We are creating a site plan today, but what are we going to cover in the next 15 minutes? What should your event site plan include? I'm going to share with you how to create a simple site plan with free software. So I'll talk you through and actually show you and step you through some processes and give you a simple way to actually do it. And then I'm going to share with you another example from an event around how to actually convert your internal site plan, which is your planning tool, into a really funky, cool external site plan that can be used in your marketing and on your website for your attendees. So it becomes a dual purpose resource for your event. The main thing to remember is, this doesn't have to be scary. There's certain expectations that will need to be covered in your site plan from an emergency management perspective, your event management plan, and council may have some specific requirements. But as long as you find all of that out from the beginning, you can actually add all of that into your site plan. It's not something to get overwhelmed about, that's for sure. And I hope after today's session, you'll feel a lot more comfortable in going and creating your own event site plan. So what are some of the things to consider on your site plan? And please note that these are not everything you need to consider. It really depends on the type of event, the size of the event, the elements within your program in terms of what you need to include, but this just gives you an idea. I highly encourage you to have a chat to your local council about any other expectations they may have around your site plan. First of all, make sure you mark on your site plan the direction of north. You also want to include things like car parking and accessible car parking, toilets, including accessible toilets, emergency vehicle access, where the event control centre is located. And if you're not familiar with that, we talked about the event control centre in the emergency management masterclass. So make sure you jump in and have a look at that recording to familiarise yourself with the event control centre and all aspects of emergency management. First aid stations, equipment related to first aid and emergencies like fire extinguishers, etc., need to be noted. Emergency evacuation points and assembly points. Heavy crowd density points. So if you've got an area where, let's just say there's going to be a mosh pit or there's one key show ring and that gets really busy at certain times throughout your program, that's considered a heavy crowd density point, and emergency services and security will want to be able to identify that. Alcohol service points, obviously the entrance to your event, any food service areas, seating areas, where the amusement rides are located, where your rubbish bins are, and also recycling points as well. And things like power sources, sewage points, etc., will also be important from an internal perspective. The thing to keep in mind is if you're using an indoor venue, then this is obviously quite different. So this is very much based on, an outdoor venue in a park, a showground, etc. But obviously if it's indoors, then there'll be some different things for you to consider. So what I want to share with you is a really simple way to create a site map. I know a lot of people often get intimidated by the idea of creating a site map. Often they're hand drawn, it can be okay, but they need to be legible. And I guess what I want to do is share with you a way that you can do it using free software. If your event is indoors, the first thing you need to do is speak to the owner of that indoor venue, if it's not yourself, or maybe you should speak to yourself, and you need to ask for the floor plans, because that's going to be your starting point to be able to, you know, start to overlay all of the different features within your event site. If you're using an outdoor space, or a great tool, there's two kind of parts or versions of this: Google Maps and Google Earth. And I'm going to show you how to use those in a minute, but they're great free tools to be able to give you a good map and visual of your event to be able to overlay, similar to a floor plan for an indoor venue. There's certainly more advanced software available if you're interested. So, you know, things like in the Northern Grampians, they use some software at council called Posi. You know, you can use that. If you've got the publisher software, you can actually use that. There's things like Google SketchUp. And some councils also have internal tools like Intramaps and things like that. But I think as a starting point, what I'm going to share with you today using Google Maps and or Google Earth and another free online tool called Canva is a great way as a starting point to create a sitemap for your event. The other thing you could consider, if it's something that you just really don't want to have to do, you might have some connection with a local surveyor. They have CAD programming and different mapping tools, and they do this all the time. So you might be able to approach them. Maybe it could be a sponsorship arrangement so that it's not a financial burden on you, and you can achieve a quality outcome. I guess one of the things I encourage you to do is brainstorm. Brainstorm all of the things that you may need to include on your sitemap before you actually start developing it. And the other thing you might want to consider in addition to your sitemap, and it's certainly something to do alongside your sitemap, is to actually do a signage plan. So basically a signage plan is just a plan that identifies where you're going to put signage. And this can be promotional signage in the lead up to your event, but also signage at the event, you know, your wayfinding signage, you know, if you're going to have signage or, you know, big boards that have the program printed on it, you know, you want to be able to have a bit of a plan of where they will go. So when it comes to event time, it's really easy then to just do the setup. And when you're doing the site plan, it's good to look at the signage map, because as you can appreciate, they kind of go hand in hand. All right, what I want to do now, I'm going to share with you a quick way to use Google Maps. So if you are doing an outdoor festival or event, this is a really good tool to be able to get that, I guess, that the groundwork of your sitemap, and think of it as being similar to floor plans for an indoor venue. So I'm just going to take you now to Google. So there's two things you can use. This is Google Maps. So essentially up here, it's just, if you just search Google Maps, it will take you straight there. And over here, you can search. So I'm going to search a venue, a local park. So you can see here, it brings it up. I can then zoom in. So down here, I can zoom in, zoom out. Oh, it's not letting me put my location, but that's okay. It's not necessary. So I've got a good view of the park, but that's just kind of street view. So I can go down here. You see it says layers, and I can change the view. So then I can actually make it, you know, a more terrain view. If I want to, I can add here traffic, and it will show where the main traffic routes are. This one, transit, will add where, so you can see here, it's add train or bus drop-off pickup points. Up here, I can add, you know, where are public car parks? Okay, it's brought it up on here. So then I can drop it in. So see here, there's Caddo Park Lake. We've got public toilets up here. it starts to bring in, see stall, that must be the train station. You've got bus drop-off points. So you can start to add this kind of information to your map, which makes it, you know, a much more user-friendly tool. The other thing you can look at, so you also have the option to use another Google program, which is Google Earth. Sorry, let me just get rid of that. So once again, just type into your search engine Google Earth and it will bring it up. So it's currently showing my hometown Toowoomba, but if I go over here to the left of the screen, press this little magnifying glass, I can type in Catto Park. Hope I'm pronouncing that well, right? Here, install. So I just click on that and Google Earth will go and find it for me. And Google Earth is fairly current. It usually tells you when the last footage was taken, what year. Seems to be struggling a bit. I don't have the best internet service today for some reason. Just bear with me for a second. This is the joys of technology. I just want to show you this because it's pretty cool. So I'm just rebooting it. So this is how it starts. Basically, it brings you in through their homepage. Okay, I'm going to come back to Google Earth because that's just really struggling to load. But so let's just go back here, Google Maps. So you can see we've got the park here. I can zoom in more if I want to get a better view of that park, because if I imagine this is the park space I'm using for my event, so all around this lake, this green space here is going to be used for my event as well. I might also, when my event expands, I might use Central Park across the road. So you can see that you can start to bring it in. You can start to bring in and go, okay, well, I know over here, I'm sure it was over here somewhere, there was a train station here. Whether that's still an operating line or not, I'm not too sure, but that's not important. So we have Catto Park here. So what I do is I've got the park, so I go, okay, I can see, obviously if it's your venue, you're more familiar with it. I'm just kind of playing around here. So you can actually take that and do a screen grab of it. So I'm going to just take that part of the park like that. Then what I'm going to do is use another tool. Let's just on our way check Google Earth. No, it's still struggling. That's a shame. I will show you that before we finish. The other tool we use in conjunction with Google Maps or Google Earth is this program called Canva. Some of you may be familiar with this, using it to create marketing material, etc. It's such a handy tool, and it's free. You can get a paid version, but for most things that you will be wanting to use it for, I would imagine the free version will be fine. So this is Canva. So just something I prepared earlier was just, I basically just got an A4 document I've created. And then what I'm going to do is drop in the screenshot that I took a little earlier. So you obviously can't see where I'm getting that from, but you've got an idea. So this is what I took off Google Maps, right? So I went from here in Google Maps to here in Canva. Then I can start playing around with this. I can just expand that a bit. And just for the purposes of today, I'm not going to play with this too much. I've got a final version that I'll share with you in a moment. But then what you can do, see over on the left here, there's a section called Elements. So you can actually then start to drop little symbols and lines, and you can start to create this map. So I've got, you know, I can search up here, toilet, and it will give me toilet symbols, and I go, which toilet symbol? So I want to use this one. So I can just drag it onto the screen. I can make it a bit smaller. That doesn't stand out a lot. So I should be able to change the color by going edit image. Oh, here, sorry. It's the color, so this black box. And I just want to change it to white to make it stand out more. And I'm going to put a little toilet symbol down here. Then I might want to put rubbish or recycle bins. So I might use this little recycle symbol. Once again, I want to change that to white because it just stands out more on here. And it might be that down here, there's recycle bins. That's the recycling station. But I might also copy, paste. Oh. Can be a little bit fiddly, and then I go, I've also got one over here. So you can see how we can just add symbols in. You know, we can put text as well. So, you know, we might put a heading saying Tilma Group Festival 2022. That's going to be better if it's white, or I might actually keep it black and put it at the bottom down here. So you can see you just play around with it. It's a little bit fiddly, but once you get used to it, it's a really cool tool. And then I'll show you here. So that's our Google Maps. Then we use our Canva. And this is an example that's been created. So you can see you can add a legend down the bottom. It's got, and this is all done using Google Maps / Google Earth and Canva. So up the top here, it's got your north direction. You know, you can put the lines in to show this is the area of our festival that we're using. We've got some toilet symbols over here. You've got, you know, very merry-go-round, no, Ferris wheel. You've got sanitizer here, so it's got little icons for sanitizers, which is important these days. You can see seating areas, a petting zoo. See, all of these little symbols have come out of Canva, so it's super easy, it's free, and it looks really good as well. So this has been done quite rough, but you can expand that out to, you know, make that space a little bit bigger, but it just gives you a really good idea of how you can create your own site map. And these are some of the minimum requirements. Obviously, as I've talked about, depending on your event, depending whether council requires a POPE for your event, will determine how much and what those inclusions are on your site map. Now, the final thing I just wanted to share with you is this cool idea of how you can actually take what is your internal site plan and turn it into an external or a customer-facing site plan. So remember I said if you are interested, you could talk to a local surveyor to help you create your map. So you can see the difference. Now, this is still legible, it still works. a surveyor, they have programs, very high-end programs to be able to do mapping. So you can see that this one's been created in CAD by a local surveyor. And this is an event in Queensland that I work with. And they work with this surveyor to create this map. It also allows them to be able to determine how many sites they can put in, you know, stall holders, etc. So it's absolutely, you know, down to the centimetre, these maps, which are really useful. But anyway, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I love this example of how they actually take this internal map that they use for their planning and their approvals, their event management plan, etc. And they actually get a graphic designer to make it fun, to make it on brand for their event. That is then used as part of their program and on their website. So for people coming to the event, they know where to find things, but it's really fun. You see how they've done that? I think it's excellent. The other thing I love here, see they've got QR codes down the right-hand side. So you can scan for a tour guide, you can scan for a parking map, for a shuttle bus. So a really cool idea to be able to make that site map a dual purpose for you. And I hope that's been really useful to help you understand in a practical way how you can actually use free software to create your site plan, things you need to consider including on your site plan, and you know, how to actually create a really effective site plan for internal planning and also for external customers as well. Thank you very much, and good luck with your upcoming event.